retired in 1986 after 47 years in aerospace engineering. So I had 39 years with Douglas, 8 years with Sikorsky. Started with Douglas in 1939. 1939 is when United Aircraft told Igor they're going to close this operation down because it wasn't profitable. Igor pleaded with them, and they said, well, we'll give you $65,000 in 1 year to develop your helicopter. So in April 1941, my mentor said, go for it, because I said I was interested in getting in the ground floor of this new industry. So in April 1941, I went back to Sikorsky's. Stayed with them through the war years. 1945, went back to Los Angeles area, went back to Douglas. Stayed with them till I got married in 1948. Then in 1948, we went to Sikorsky's and lived there for 3 years. 1951, my wife got tired of shoveling snow. She said, this is not like it, I don't like it, I like California bad. In 1941, Sikorsky was beginning to test what became the VS-300 helicopter. And it was in May of 1941 that I saw him break the world speed record, endurance record, an hour and 32 minutes. And he gave each of us engineers, a couple of dozen of us, an autographed photograph of his after the test flight. He was a great individual. He never told us what to do, he told us what had to be done. But for us to use our ingenuity. And while I was at Sikorsky's, I worked on the R4, which is the first mass production helicopter for the Army Air Corps. Then the R5 and R6. And between that, 1943, is when I became involved with the American Helicopter Society. I was fortunate to be there at the birth of the society. I was the one who drafted the plan. I was a member of the Institute of Aeronautical Sciences, Society of Automotive Engineers. And so I said, with that background, I said I could write up a plan so we could get started on the Society for the Helicopters. Ralph Alex was a great leader, more so than myself, and he had the charisma. So he took over, and he became the first president of the Helicopter Society. At Sikorsky, we had a lot of talented, experienced engineers, what I call grease under the fingernails engineers, like myself. We not only made the drawings, we spent a lot of time in the shop, working alongside the craftsmen. A lot of times we made drawings according to sketches, telling the craftsmen, here's what we're trying to do. The mechanics come up with their own ideas. Many of them were Russian immigrants. One day, Igor said, we'd like to find out how we could use the helicopter. So he was speaking to all of our engineers. And there were several ideas that came up. One of them was, well, we could go up and help with that helicopter, drop a rope over to the side and rappel down to help the person down, blow for help. But then you can't get him up. So Ralph said, well, wait a minute. He said, I'll make a rope ladder. So Ralph was the guinea pig. He made a rope ladder. He went down, said he helped the victim, and then he helped the victim get on the rope ladder and get back in the helicopter. Just happened at that time that the Aero Digest magazine had an article, an advertisement from electric hoist, could carry 600 pounds, had a line about 100 feet long or so, was lightweight. They said, well, we could use this here. This way, you could get down and you could pull the person up. The first device for pulling the person up was what looked like a horse collar. the fellow got into this horse collar. He got I made a mistake. When I designed it, I forgot to put a stop when the line went over the beam. There's the pulley, the cable, and the guy could get his hands caught. So that was the first thing I had to do, is put a limit. So when you go up to get so far, then they get it into the helicopter. Ralph, in the meantime, pulled the fuel tank out, which is located between the two crew members up front. And he used 2 saddle tanks for the fuel, enough for the test. And then they had room now for a radio rescue operator, and also for the person who's been rescued. So I had a hand in the design of the rescue hoist. It only took us a year from the clean sheet to the first flight. Clean sheet, design, production, first flight, 1 year. One experience that I enjoyed, seeing the first helicopter make a loop. Sikorsky had hired a pilot who was a P-51 pilot before he became a helicopter pilot. He came to Sikorsky's. His name was Hal Thompson. Came to Sikorsky's, and one day he got out and he said, we could loop this thing. So he went out and looped it 10 times. In 1943 is when I became involved with the American Helicopter Society. The seed was planted by 2 of the engineers, Harold Lamont and Stan Petrov. They went to a meeting, an IAS meeting, Institute of Aeronautical Science meeting, the Astoria Hotel in New York. And they came out, Lamont, and said, that was a terrible meeting. He said, we should start something for the engineers, by the engineers, and to the engineers. So the following Monday, Stan told a group of us, the 5 of us at Brown Bag Luncheon, that Lamont said we should start a society. American Helicopter Society, we were leading the world at the time. That was one of the reasons we formed the society, was to have an exchange of ideas.